Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program from myself, Martin Blackham, from our studios in Jerusalem. We welcome you across the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm with my wife, Nathalie Blackham, and we're the program that looks at news. We look at what's behind the news and features from the news and the Hebraic roots. And there's so much going on. We're going to try and squeeze it all in the time we have today. So, beginning at the beginning, we've been talking about the control systems, the one world government, the new world order. We've been talking about all of that and how it fits in with the Bible and the book of Daniel. And we're going to look at the news from Israel and see how this is all playing out, how these end time positionings, the control systems and all the things that they're doing, 15-minute cities, etc., to bring the world under one world leader. Now, in Israel, a big news story, which I picked up today, Nathalie, is that Israel is looking to bring thousands more foreign workers to tackle high living costs in the country. As many of you are experiencing, there are high living costs. The cost of everyday living has gone up dramatically since the COVID, whatever that was. Now, in an effort to reduce the high cost of living, Israel's government is planning to bring thousands of workers from India and China, primarily for caregiving and construction sectors. So they're really looking, if you're thinking, oh, well, I'd quite fancy that coming to Israel to work, they're looking at particularly at India and China. And as I say, it's in the caregiving, the helping people and the construction services industry. The Israeli government announced a plan to bring thousands of workers from India and China to lower the high cost of living in the country. The workers will be assigned mainly to two fields. Some will be caregivers, where a major gap exists between the families who need full-time assistance, and others will be employed in construction. One of the things that happened during the COVID close downs, lockdowns, nonsensical restrictions, bearing in mind that COVID is considered by the Ministry of Health as flu, they locked down the country and threw everybody out, so we suddenly didn't have enough foreign workers. They had to leave. So now they find themselves, guess what, needing them. So according to the Central Bureau of Statistics, the Consumer Price Index has risen consistently in recent months. A recent survey conducted by the Israeli Democracy Institute showed that there's been a 40% of Israelis are mostly concerned with the price hikes. Things are going up in price everywhere and across the board. Meanwhile, the Jerusalem Post newspaper has said, how can Israel address rampant food insecurity? The government, this is what the Jerusalem Post says, the government can take significant steps towards eradicating food insecurity and creating a fair and sustainable food system for all Israelis. But one way of doing that will be to stop all the ridiculous price hikes. But obviously, they don't want to get too involved in asking companies why their prices are all going up. Although in the news today, Nir Barkat, who is a member of Knesset, previous mayor of Jerusalem, is asking companies to provide him and the government with details as to their profits. Now, the Jerusalem Post reporter, this is her story, it's very interesting, writes, Naomi, this is not her real name, is begging at a busy intersection in my neighborhood of Jerusalem. This is the reporter from the Jerusalem Post. Vigorously passing between cars stopped at the traffic lights. One hand is outstretched and holding a paper cup. The other holds a sign that reads, don't judge me. It's humiliating enough as it is. Grateful to have a reason to rest from running for a moment, she shares her story, carrying herself with dignity. She wants respect to be heard and seen for who she is, not a nameless object of pity. She's energetic. This is the Israeli lady who is asking for money from drivers. She's energetic despite her hardship, pained but articulate. She rushed here from work. Unbelievable. So she's not begging all day. She's working. She comes back from work to go on the streets and ask for money. She rushed here from work to try and earn a bit more money for an hour or two in the evening. Naomi's employed as a caregiver for the elderly. We were just talking about that, the bringing in of foreign workers. She tends to 7 elderly individuals and earns a bit more than the average wage. After paying her other fixed expenses, she simply can't make it. This is a lady in Israel, and to give you a picture of what's happening here, she simply can't make ends meet. Naomi's not alone. According to the most recent survey conducted by the National Insurance Institute of Israel in 2021, more than 500,000 families, actually more towards 2 million, suffer from food insecurity. Of those, about half are severely food insecure, meaning they experience the deprivation of hunger. The groups most affected by hunger include recipients of income support and or disability allowances, unemployed, working age individuals, single parent families, individuals with low education, large families, children and families within the ultra-Orthodox community and Arab families. So we're experiencing in the country people who are finding it very difficult to survive with the high cost of living here. I expect that's something that's happening to many of you across the world, but here in Israel, we're experiencing that, and it's important because Israel first. So if we're experiencing it, then it's not surprising that many of you across the world are experiencing that as well. Now, I say all of that to say this: Israel is also funding or getting funds for different what they call startups, companies who are doing who are technical companies who are starting up. You know, they are literally taking off in business, and one of Israel's AI traffic management companies has raised $50 million. That's bearing in mind, as I just said, all the people who are now struggling just to make ends meet. They've raised $50 million. So it's not like the money doesn't exist. It's who's got hold of the money in these days. Now, they've raised $50 million to expand to Europe and Japan. They are a company that runs the traffic lights, runs all the different management services on the roads. Israel artificial intelligence company called No Traffic says its smart traffic management system tracks live data from road users to optimize timing of traffic lights and allegedly prevent collisions. No Traffic has developed an autonomous traffic management system that uses AI algorithms and cloud-connected smart sensors to track road movements in cities and control and prioritize the flow for all kinds of transport: cars, bicycles, buses, pedestrians at urban intersections. Its AI-powered traffic signal platform is currently deployed in multiple cities and states across North America, including California, Texas, Pennsylvania, Colorado, Georgia, and Vancouver. Vancouver being in Canada. The company also has offices in Tel Aviv and Phoenix and works with leading corporates including Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Ford, Pfizer, and Nvidia. I think that's the way you say it. Now, by the way, I didn't know that Pfizer was doing traffic. Anyway, No Traffic is taking critical steps to prepare roads for a dystopian future, an era of connected and autonomous self-driving cars. This is another thing that's being pushed, is these self-driving buses. We've talked about that on the program before. Self-driving cars, that they want us to sit in a vehicle where we don't have to control anything. And by the way, there was recently a video on the internet of someone in a self-driving car, and they were having an accident because they weren't looking what was happening. They were actually asleep. Meanwhile, Israel police began testing controversial AI-based automated traffic violation system. Israel freedom fighters are very concerned as Israeli police implement more AI-driven surveillance. one of the reasons that there are cameras everywhere. Privacy rights continue to disappear in the country. Israeli police are testing and applying one of the world's most advanced traffic violation enforcement systems.
Now, when you speak about that, it exactly happened to us when I wanted to turn somewhere and I saw that I couldn't. I think it was something like that. And then I was like, oh no, I need to go back. I need to go straight. But I was unfortunately going into a bus lane and not, because on that road there is a bus lane and you can't sway from one to another. So I couldn't stop and reverse because it was dangerous. So I had to stay in the in the bus lane, carry on all the way till I could change. And obviously I had how do you call it?
Parking fine.
Fine.
Ticket,
I had a
driving.
fine. Yes, I had a fine.
Ticket.
Expensive. And this was a mistake. So I can't say, hey, this was a mistake. If it was a policeman, you can explain the thing. But no, you have a camera, it's taking the thing, and that's it. You just have to pay. Maybe sometime you can go and say, this was a mistake and all of that. But you have to fight for all these things.
And the point is that the police are less and less... Well, anyway, I'll go on with the story because maybe it'll explain a bit.
Yeah.
Israeli police are testing and applying one of the world's most advanced traffic violation enforcement systems. The system will include use of sensors deployed along Israel's roads that will stream information to an advanced processing center based on AI software capable of extracting this data, in other words, the cars, all the traffic movements, and whether they are going at the right speed. And they analyze the videos and produce tickets for offences. Israel's police head of the planning division, Deputy Superintendent Yigal Haddad, responsible for implementing the plan, so you can write to him if you're not happy, says that it has been in the works for the past 2 years and aims to make the production of tickets for traffic violations into a computerized process. So there's no human, like Nathalie was saying, even if you've done it to stop an accident or to save lives or whatever.
Because sometimes you make mistakes and this is life. Everybody makes mistakes.
And because the camera takes the picture, it doesn't ask you these questions. It just takes your number plate, and whatever reason you've done that, you get the traffic ticket. Now, he says currently 80% of enforcement tickets, that's these traffic tickets Nathalie was talking about, are the product of an interaction between a police officer, a human person, and a civilian, a member of a citizen of Israel. And only a small number are produced from cameras. Well, we've had 2, and both of them have been cameras. We've never had someone. The aim is to change this ratio in the future and bring about a situation in which most of the traffic tickets are produced completely digitally. I don't know if you understand that, but it means it's all done by computer, and maybe it's done over your phone. I'm not sure how they will send it to you. And he says it's done so they can free up, listen to this, police time to handle other routine police tasks. So, in other words, we don't mind the fact that you're going to be fined every 5 minutes. We've got other things to do. With the operation of the system, wireless data from the traffic sensors in the roads and stationary and mobile smart cameras will be streamed live, which will document violations and transmit it in real time to a control center for the computerized decoding. The tickets will be produced within a few minutes and shorten the time which drivers will receive them. I'm guessing, because they haven't really said this, Nathalie, I'm going to guess that they're going to be doing it via phones, but I don't know. The aim is to digitally enforce through sensors and artificial intelligence analysis, not only speeding offences, but also if you go over a traffic light, again, you might be preventing an accident, or you might be, somebody might be injured, or an ambulance, or whatever the reason you went over that traffic light. If you go over, it will get you on the camera, your number plate will be taken, and you will receive a ticket. These include crossing a white line, driving while using a phone, not giving the right of way to a pedestrian crossing, and more. The digital traffic tickets will be introduced for drivers committing violations, will include a video clip which will be sent to you, and you'll be able to see your car on the video.
I know, which means that you will have cameras everywhere, which means, again, it's controlled. Now, before we were putting the responsibility on the people. People are responsible for what they are doing, and if they do something wrong, you know, there is consequences. But now, it's like the emphasis is put on these AI things, because it's again AI, and you are just little things moving from one point to another point. You are not a human, you are not taken as a human. You are still a human, but you are not taken as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you are a little ball going from one point to another point, and if you don't follow the rule, boom, you have, which I can understand, but this is not the right, if you look at the ethic behind it, this is not humanly done.
No, because if you go astray, you're meant to have someone tell you so that you know you've gone astray. It's meant to be human interaction, so that one, you don't do it again, and secondly, that you've had a positive experience, that you've. And this is how it always happened in the past, but we are living in an age, and as I said at the beginning of the program, with the New World Order, the control system, it's all part of that. But you see, if you just say the One World Government control systems and the World Economic Forum and other issues that are happening and setting in place everything for the Antichrist, if you say all these things without giving any details, then it can be just philosophy. But we are seeing in Israel on a day-to-day basis the whole system put in place. And this is just part of it. I know,
and I was in Jerusalem this week, and early this week, and exactly what you said, I saw beggars. I didn't see so many like that. They've changed. They are not the same that they were before. Now, I saw few. They were laying down on a mattress. They had their oxygen bottle next to them, so they are not well healthily. You know, their health is not good, and they are there with a little, little can for the people to give the money. And you know that here in Israel, tzedakah, charity is very important. So people will give money to these people, and I know we will always have people. Is how the world goes, the poor and the rich, but like the inequality is just getting crazy.
I think that's the issue. Jesus said, there will always be the poor and the rich, but what we're seeing now is huge inequality. And also the people in Jerusalem not being looked after, but they're building huge buildings, which are very, very expensive, the apartments. And certainly not affordable by Israeli people.
Exactly, and how the atmosphere now in Jerusalem, is deteriorating is just incredible. And I know many people who are moving out of Jerusalem because they don't want to stay there. So it's like who is going to come here?
Now, I know today you wanted to talk about John the Baptist, so
yes,
you have your time, Nathalie.
Okay, which is interesting because it's like we can see the time where we're living, like the government is doing a lot of crazy things all around the world, not just here, but also all around the world. And at the time of John the Baptist, it was the same. I was looking, okay, I'll give you a bit of the background. Our daughter lives not far from Bet and Kerem, which was the place where John the Baptist with his parents were living when he was young, sorry. And every time that I go to see her, I think about John the Baptist. And I'm like, okay, I need to do some more studies because this is a nagging thought that I have, something is there. And I was looking also about Herod, because Herod was at that time also. So I took the Bible and I was looking in Luke, okay? And so we speak about the reign of Herod. Herod, you can do your own research because I can't say everything today, but he was an Edomian, which means like an Arab. His family converted to Judaism, and he was friend also with Julius Caesar. So he was like a very interesting person. He married an Ashmonean lady, so because you know the Maccabees were before the time of Jesus. And the interesting thing, the Maccabees were a priestly family. So priestly families was there to minister to God for the people. And they shouldn't have been in the government. And they end up in the government, which was a big mess. And then this Herod was a procurer at the time, but because he was friend with Julius Caesar said, well, this is a very good thing. Let us put him, making him king in Israel, so he can be, because he was a mixture, and he was very happy. He could see that Rome was getting very was reigning more and more, well, elevated. And so he knew that it was very important to have some more power also with Rome. So he was a kind of a mixed Jew. And then, what I wanted to say about that? So this was during the time of John the Baptist. Now, when you read, and so this was the background. Oh yes, and what Herod was doing, he wanted to put more and more power in his hands. So the priests who should have been priests, who are Levi and from Aaron family, he took some of the people from the diaspora and put them in charge of the priestly, the priest members, how to say it, like the family who should look after the temple and all these things. So he's done a big mix of all the things. So this was at the time of when John the Baptist arrived and when Jesus arrived. So it was a mishmash of a lot of things. Now, when you read in Luke, it's very interesting. I saw that a long time ago, but it's really emphasized even more now. It's written Zechariah, Elisheva, this is the name in Hebrew. John is Yochanan, which means also speak about mercy. And they were all, is written Tzaddik, which means Tzaddik was like they were righteous, because you know that there was some Jews like Herod who was Hellenist. So they were happy to be Jews, but they were mixing things with Rome and Greek thinking, and this was all fine, all good. But it was not following the commandment of God. So they were very important. So I heard many years ago that John the Baptist might have been the high priest. And when I find about Herod and what all the mixture that he was doing, and I knew that when Jesus came on the scene, everything that happened had to happen with the law that God has put in place at that time, the Jewish law, or the Jewish commandments. And so when Jesus was going to start his ministry, he needed to be anointed, not just by whoever. He needed to be anointed by the high priest. And so I started to look at the thing, and Zechariah, so the father of John the Baptist, was a priest, and he was chosen by Lot, to do the work of the high priest, because at that time there was all this change, and the work needed to be done, but there was not a high priest for a long time. So he was chosen by Lot, which is like how God done the thing. And then he goes to the altar of incense, which was the high priest who was doing that. And suddenly he sees an angel, and he's very afraid, because if he sees an angel, something is maybe wrong, something maybe, they were carrying the sin of the people in the presence of God to bring the sin to him and say, please forgive us. So you can see of all these things. And when you start to look at what Jesus said to John the Baptist, he said to him, he is the highest prophet, is the last prophet the time is the last prophet, we say, of the Old Testament, okay, of a time, because again we spoke about that. Then you have the time of Abraham, then you have the time of the kings, and then you have the time of Yeshua. And when Yeshua was coming, Jesus, it was the beginning of the end time. And now we are at the end of the end time, which is like 2000 time. And now we are at a very big junction. And Jesus and John the Baptist was a very big junction. I mean, you look in Malachi, how do you say in English? Malachi in English, Malachi in Hebrew. When you look there, you can see how there is a messenger before the Messiah, the Mashiach, the
Messiah.
the Messiah. And thank you to translate. I have more and more the name now in Hebrew, because when you read it in Hebrew, it gives you an emphasis which show you more clearly what's happening. So you see, it was a very important time, and now we are very important time. There was a preparation. John the Baptist said, I will prepare the way. It's written in Luke and in Mark. He will prepare the way, because something had to be prepared for Jesus, for Yeshua, for the Savior to come. And now that we are at the end of the end of time, we're going to arrive into the millennium, which is the Shabbat time, which is the rest when Mashiach, the Messiah, come back. When Yeshua come, this time as the King and the ruler and the King of Kings and the King of Israel, there is a lot of preparation that we need to be ready. Are we ready to see Him? Are we ready ourselves? Are we ready to ourselves and to have the understanding of the work that was done with John the Baptist? You see, all the Gospels are speaking about John the Baptist, because he was the one preparing the way of Mashiach. And now we are in the time of preparation for him to come back as the King of Kings. And we need to be ready. Please read your Bible, do some research. You will see it's just amazing.
And it's connected to all the things that are happening in the world, because as these things that I talked about at the beginning of the program are happening, and the New World Order, the One World Government, etc., the world is getting ready for the return of the Mashiach at the same time. And you might say, well, that's strange, why are these things all happening, and yet Messiah's coming? It's because there will be a judgment of all the evil, and so it's it's all manifesting, it's all coming to the head, it's all coming to a climax, so that it can be judged. And so that's why all these things are happening. And so
next week we will speak about, because of all this discovery, we discover about the alliance, you'd say covenant with Melchizedek. And again, we will speak about John the Baptist, about Yeshua, and about Melchizedek, and what they find in the city of David. So is all linked, and is all coming to light now, because it's the time. So
you'll have to tune in to the next program to get that about Melchizedek and how he fits into the end times, how he has a role to play, which many people don't know about. I've not heard anyone talking about Melchizedek in the last days, but you'll be surprised that he's very involved. Now, if you'd like to help us to get the program out across the world, please contact us. You can go to our webpage, which is www.israelfirst.org. There's a donate section. You can donate there. And it's because of your support. Thank you to everybody who's supporting us and enabling us to do this work. We are very grateful. We do appreciate people considering and becoming new partners with us to enable us to get the program out. And as I say, it's all on the website. There's a lot of information And you can also contact us via the website as well if you'd like any information about what's happening. We'd love to hear what's happening where you're living. And don't forget, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.